guys. Welcome to the Real Talk with Jenna Shea podcast. I'm Benny Brat, and I'm here with Jenna Shea, of course, and Andrea Anaconda, who is her highest earner under her referral.
Hi.
Hi. So, what's up, Andrea? How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
We're doing good.
We're
So,
happy to hear.
we wanted to talk to you about like being under Jenna's referral, being one of her workshop girls, and being the top girl.
The top girl. I'm talking about she's the top girl. I'm talking about she beat out everybody. I have some that are close, but Andrea is the top girl.
When you look up the lyrics for Doja Cat's Bottom Bitch, it's just a picture of Andrea
She's my
Anaconda.
bottom bitch, you guys.
And it was a
100%.
beautiful portrait.
And literally she's made over $500,000 on OnlyFans, and I'm so proud of her. And we started, it was rough. It was a little rough, but she held on. I mean, she definitely, exceeded everybody because she doesn't get lazy. I see a lot of myself in her with the hustle. Like, we want more. We got to keep going, And when you're in my workshop, you can hit me up for anything, literally, always. And I just want to say, like, she's a trans woman and she literally beat out women I have with millions of followers, women who, you would think be making millions of dollars and are not. And, literally just blows my mind of how much of a hustler she is. And it comes into play. Everyone is not the same when you do my workshop. Everyone is different. Everyone succeeds in their own ways, but Andrea takes it to a whole nother level with, not laying down, not being satisfied with what she's making per month. Every month is going to be different. Every month is going to be, I want more. And I'm proud to say that she's a trans woman. And literally when we started, we had a rough time finding other trans women for her to work with. I've reached out, which I totally understand. Some who have went through the transition, who don't want people to know. I get it. But I feel like, just like us women, you know what I mean? Just a team, period. If you work as a team, you're stronger than by yourself. And whether I just took on Benny over here, who's a trans man, and I have deja vu. That's why I want to bring them together on here. And these are great people. And I feel like Benny's going to kill it. This is something the internet hasn't really seen. And I'm really having issues finding other trans men. There are so many that are doing OnlyFans. I have literally spent my time messaging at least 30. Not one has messaged me back. I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe Andrea could put some insight into this, but we are here. Whether you hit up her, whether you hit up me, whether you hit up Benny, we're here to help. I mean, we just want everybody to win. I'm not trying to make this negative. I want this to be positive, and I just feel like, I love challenges. I'm gonna look at Andrea, number one, and that could be you too. So if you're out there and you need help, any three of us would definitely talk to you. But we are all stronger as a team. It doesn't matter who you hit up.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm not sure why they're not contacting you back, but sometimes I think when you're in kind of a niche, small community, a lot of people just don't want to work with each other and don't want to help each other grow. They're only focused on their money, and they think helping somebody else is going to take away from that. But like you were saying, Jenna, like when we all work together, we all make more money.
Right.
Yeah, I think that people get the misconception that like you can easily grow alone in the dark, and it's really hard to do that. You need other people, you need that networking in order to grow your social media platforms. So, Andrea, like, we're both trans. So I transitioned from female to male, and you went from male to female.
Which I think is so cool, you guys.
We cross like ships in the night. But I was writing questions for this interview, and the most obvious question that gets asked from every trans person is, when did you know you were trans, right? Like, you've got to, prove your validity. So go ahead and tell us when you knew that you were different in some way.
Well, I always knew that I was different, even from the time I was like 4 and 5 years old. I would see like the gender constructs, and I always knew that I identified female. I just never knew what that meant. Because everyone always said, you're a boy, you have to do this, you're a boy, you have to do that. So I thought, okay, I'm a boy, but am I a feminine boy? Am I a gay boy? And I just didn't have the language and the knowledge, like what is trans, what's being transgender. So I always knew that something was going on. I just didn't know exactly what was going on.
So, like, what was it like with your family? Were they encouraging of you as like a kid to be more feminine, or were they discouraging? What was their response?
I think just generations ago, my family was like indoctrinated with the boys have to do this, girls have to do that, a male behaves in this way, a female behaves in this way, kind of a mindset, very like gender norm. So they definitely discouraged everything I did. But I was always very feminine looking. I often got like mistaken for a woman even before I transitioned. So I just thought, why try to hide and not be who I am when I'm not even blending in, even if I try.
So, how old were you when you came out?
Well, I started transitioning and just doing my thing when I was 14, but I still didn't identify as being trans, just because, again, I didn't have like the language and didn't know what being trans was. But I did start identifying as trans at 15, and that's when I started thinking about hormone replacement therapy and physically transitioning.
Wow. So, did you start like hormone blockers as a teenager then?
I did. I started estrogen and blockers when I was 16.
So, had you already been through male puberty a little bit before you had transitioned, or were you like a late bloomer and you hadn't even really started?
I had definitely went through a male puberty, but I was always like kind of androgynous looking naturally, and I definitely always liked my hair long, and my mother didn't disagree with that. Um, but I always just kind of had everything up in a ponytail, and then once I started, then I just took that flat iron out and barely nothing.
So, I mean, I know what it's like going from female to male. So I know what it's like going from estrogen to testosterone, and there are a lot of like emotional differences that you experience. Like, I call it like my emotional landscape. It's like it's a different landscape than it was previously. Like, as a female, I cried a lot more, like a lot more, and I find it really difficult to cry now. Like, even if I want to, it's
I
hard to
need some
cry.
of that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's like nice to be able to cry, and I kind of miss it, to be perfectly honest. But like, how has your emotional landscape changed with taking estrogen? What was that like for
I was always very emotional, so I didn't see like a huge change with my emotions. I definitely felt things a little deeper,
you? Yeah.
and I would say the amount of emotions didn't change, but just kind of the depth of my emotions and just kind of processing things in a different way, I would say.
Yeah, I can kind of like recognize that because I think my emotions have gotten more shallow, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. Like, my emotions don't go as deep, and it's easier for me to sort of like stay on a happy medium rather than like be on a more of a roller coaster. I don't know. It's just different. So, um, like, was there a big learning curve for you when you were transitioning, or was it because you started so young that it was pretty easy for you to start passing?
Um, there wasn't really like a learning curve. It was just kind of the minute that I started watching other girls' YouTube videos and learned like what trans was, everything just kind of like clicked and just fell into place for me. So I just realized exactly what I had to do. And I was already presenting female every single day, making sure I always did my hair. I wore like skinny jeans every day because that's just what made me feel more comfortable. I would say just as I started learning about what being trans actually is, that's when everything just fell into place for me.
Okay, so now I've got like a more personal question for you. It's like a question that I feel like gets asked of a lot of trans people. And like, if you're in the audience and you're listening and you meet a trans person, please do not do what I'm about to do. It's fucking rude. Do not ask a trans person what their genitalia looks like, period. Like, don't ever ask that. It's just, you don't ask anybody that. I like
Okay.
wouldn't ask any. But since we are all sex workers, you know, Andrea's full, you know, like sex worker name is Andrea Anaconda for a reason.
Okay, let me
We
just.
gotta talk about it. Do you have bottom dysphoria?
I don't. And the few things I saw of trans people before I even started transitioning, it was always about that question.
Right.
So how do you feel? Do you just feel like you need a vagina?
Right.
And I never really felt that way. I definitely see myself getting bottom surgery one day, but I don't feel any dysphoria about my big old dick.
Is big.
And they do call me Anaconda for a reason. OnlyFans.com/Andrea Anaconda.
Absolutely. So I mean, like, I kind of agree with you. I'm kind of in the same mindset. Like, for trans men, bottom surgery is like not at all where it would need to be for me to even consider that like as a possibility in the future. So like I've kind of taken the buck angel route. Like, I'm just gonna be a man with a pussy. Like, it's fine. Like, you know, like that is just something that like I personally I feel like it's like radical acceptance. Like, it's not something I can really change or do anything about. So I can either be really, really unhappy with myself all the time, or I can just get over it and monetize it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I don't want to sound like, it's all in our heads. And so you don't have to transition or anything.
Right.
That dysphoria is always there. But I think it's about like what you do with those feelings. And like you said, like kind of radically accepting yourself, that's definitely the best thing, I think. And fixing the things that you can fix and doing everything that you can do to just be happy.
I have a question for you too. Do you guys feel like these days versus years prior, it's easier to be trans since it's getting more accepted? And
I would say there's a lot more visibility, which is good, but there still isn't enough visibility. Like, there are still a lot of people who are stuck in the mindset that a man has to behave a certain way and a woman has to. I'll say there's definitely a lot more possibilities for us, like in the workplace.
Oh yeah.
And things have definitely gotten better, but there's still so much discrimination. And I think you have to transition to a point where you're socially accepted, where you are seen as female or seen as male, to kind of to have that acceptance. So that's when it starts getting better. But you shouldn't have to do that because we're all in different places, and not every biological female looks a certain way, and not every biological male even looks a certain way either.
right.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, passing privilege is a real thing. And like that question, Jenna, is really better for Andrea than me because now I'm a white man. So my life is so much easier.
I was gonna say something, you know?
Like, it's just so much easier. I literally like I mean, I get people assume that I'm gay because I spoke as a female for 26 years, and I'm not trying super hard to be very masculine. So I still speak in a manner that comes off very gay. But other than that, most people don't assume that I'm trans, and that is a lot easier than being a butch lesbian because that is something people can see right away. And I used to experience a lot more hate as a butch lesbian than I do now. I don't, like, hardly at all. People just people never assume, that I'm trans pretty much. So, I mean, it does make it easier. I think,
I had no idea. We were friends. I had no idea that he was trans.
yeah, I mean, you can kind of
And
hide it.
after he told me that, and like, and then he also made a joke that he had AIDS, and I was like, he makes a lot of jokes.
Yeah, what did I say? I was like, you were like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "I'm HIV positive."
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know.
I'm not HIV positive, and by the way,
He's not.
HIV is not a joke, guys,
Right.
at all.
All lives matter.
So like, I guess that kind of brings us to sex work. When did you start doing sex work? And like, what made you even go in that direction to begin with?
Well, I was broke, so that's always a motivator.
For sure.
And I was in
Amen.
college, in my dorm, so I just started doing webcam shows. And then I'm like, okay, this isn't so bad. I think I can mess with this. And then I started escorting. And then after I kind of dipped my toes in the water, I'm like, okay, this is something I'm ready to commit to. I'm tired of taking the bus everywhere. Where I was living in upstate New York, where I took the bus downtown, then take the downtown bus to my job. And then at the end of the day, I have to keep, taking the bus, and I can really afford a car. So it was an easy transition for me going into making a few $100s a week to making, a few thousand a day, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, that would make anyone's life like a whole heck of a lot better, like pretty quickly. So like, when you got into sex work, like, what made you decide to do that other than like obviously the money? Was it just the money that made you want to do that, or were there anything else about it that made you
It was all about the money for me. I just knew a few girls who did sex work, and I
want to do it?
thought that seems like pretty easy. We might be talking on the phone, and she says, "I have a client," and then she calls me back 10 minutes later.
Right.
So it seems, yeah, it seemed pretty easy. And like I said, I dipped my toes in. I did it for a couple of days, and then I thought, okay, this is something I'm ready to commit to.
So there are like a lot of trans women specifically, and some trans men in sex work, just because like society has made it difficult for us to participate in like any other sort of industry and make the same amount of money, right? So, like, did you have any encounters as a trans person in sex work that were dangerous or scary or made you question what you were doing or anything like that?
I did. I had quite a few, like, just getting into disagreements with clients, and I fought quite a few clients because
Give me my money.
I'm not giving you back nothing. Once
No,
it's in my hands,
no
it's mine.
chargeback.
Okay, period. Yeah, I had a lot of fights with clients. I did have some dangerous encounters with clients, but I just always based things off of my feelings. And I always thought, I'm going to make a lot of money doing this. And I was making a lot of money, but I just kind of saw myself getting to a point where I got rich from this. And I never really felt super discouraged. So I just kept going and kept going. And I'm really happy because the experience I had escorting kind of trained me. And I think that's why I do better than some girls do on OnlyFans, because I kind of had that training. And it's a lot easier to do OnlyFans than to travel constantly and
Ain't that the
meet
truth?
clients. Absolutely.
So, how has like doing sex work in general like affected your relationship with your trans identity? Like, has it made you more confident as a woman? Does it make you like dislike some aspects of your identity? Like, how does that affect you?
It doesn't affect my identity at all. And I've always been the kind of girl, I'm going to do what I have to do to get more money. And a lot of girls don't understand me not tucking my penis and kind of putting my penis out there. But I know that's going to make me more money. So I
Right.
do it. So I don't want to say it affects my identity at all. I'm very like confident. I know exactly who I am. It gets kind of frustrating dealing with the men, but like I've talked to Jenna about it. Like, you know, she has issues with men too.
Yeah.
Dealing with the clients and things. So I kind of think, you know, it's not really a trans thing. It's a trick
It's
thing.
just a, there you go.
Mm.
100%.
Well, then that's like leads me to my next question, which is kind of for both of you. Like, how has being in this industry like affected your relationship with men?
Ruined it. Ruined it for me. I feel I got a lot of work to do before I could even think of dating anybody. But I got, you know, issues from way back from the home life that made me get into this business. So it's deeper than even the sex work. So, you know, domino effect. But yeah, it's tough. But also I tell Andrea this, like, who wants to get off work to go to work? Like, we have to talk to these guys online all day, and then you get on Tinder or whatever, and then we got to talk to them for free. No thanks.
I think
At our
same
only
thing.
we'll talk about it.
Same thing with me. I kind of grew up like I always kind of saw a lot of men like this kind of predatory energy with a lot of men, and I would kind of just I don't know. I never thought men were really worth the trouble. And then when I was 19, before I began escorting, I dealt with a no good man. And I'm like, okay, this confirms everything. If I'm gonna deal with men in my life, I might as well be getting paid for it.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not doing this for free.
I have a question for both of you. Would you guys date someone trans too? Or do you have a preference on either?
I would definitely date another trans person. I'm just not in the dating mindset. I'm just in the self-improvement. So it's hard for me to even like get into that mindset. But I'm open to dating a trans man for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing. Like at this point, it's like gender really like does not matter to me. Like really, like after just experiencing life in like different ways, you know, like it's more about the person than it is about their gender for me. But like I'm in the same boat as Andrea. I'm not really looking to try and date anybody right now.
We're
I gotta
all
work on
single and
myself.
not looking to mingle.
Yes,
You
exactly.
can get any of our OnlyFans, okay? They're going to be
Yes.
below in the link, and change our minds. We are open to, you know, you changing our minds.
We can
Absolutely.
try.
Thank you, both of you. I think this is going to be a great interview. I think it's going to help a lot of people. Andrea, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the Only Anaconda, THA, Only Anaconda. And you can find me on OnlyFans, onlyfans.com/Andrea Anaconda.
And the links for her will be right below. And I want to thank you for coming on here. My highest earner on OnlyFans, right here, guys. You hear it right here. You heard it first. And I just want to say thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.